due to her pink hair at birth. She was raised from childhood to be the crown princess, only to marry the crown prince when she grew up. But 18 years later, she was told that the divine prophecy was wrong. She thought the crown prince wouldn't abandon her. But what she got was a let's break off our engagement. The ancient first-generation saint and the emperor jointly built the empire and helped the country prosper. It's said that with just a gesture, the saint could heal tens of thousands of people. Just a word could stop wars. Because of this history, the divine prophecy stated that like the first-generation saint, a child with divine attributes would become the crown princess. And Xia was this divinely chosen girl. She was thus forced to separate from her parents and grow up in the cold palace. The only thing that kept her going was the warmth of the crown prince. He was always by her side. Now she wanted to hold on to him, wanted to beg him, but seeing his cold gaze, she resolutely agreed to break off the engagement and turned away. The next morning when she woke up, there were no maids to serve her. Even the servants were kicking her while she was down. Hearing noises outside, she wiped away her tears. A twin-tailed princess-cut girl burst in, looking at her pink hair, the same as her own. "Hello, I'm Nivea, the new mistress of the divine realm." Xia brushed her hair. "I don't recall allowing you to enter." The girl ignored her gaze and looked around on her own. "I just came to see what my chamber looks like." She picked up the crown from the dressing table. "From now on, this is mine too. How can there be such a foolish person in the palace, even being named a saint? It's laughable. Although the divine prophecy has changed, no one has said this room is yours yet," Xia said sternly. "His Majesty hasn't asked me to leave here. I am still the crown prince's fiancé, while you're just a lowly maid from a duke's family. Guards, get her out of here." Watching Nivea being dragged away screaming and struggling, Xia collapsed powerlessly on the sofa. The crown prince actually abandoned her for such a woman. How will you repay this price? Born as a duke's daughter, plus the saint's halo, beloved by the world. 18 years later, just because of one wrong divine prophecy, the real saint became an imposter. The crown prince coldly broke off the engagement. The real saint came to make trouble. Now even the duke's daughters were mocking her behind her back. "Who do you think you are? You used to bow and scrape before me. Now you dare to gossip about me? Get lost. Is this what they call kicking someone when they're down?" She angrily ran back to her room. Waiting for her was her loyal dog, Asha. He was a sharp sword planted by the duke's mansion in the imperial city. At this moment, he knelt on one knee and kissed Xia's hand. "Is there anything you need me to do, master?" "That's right," Xia smiled mischievously. "Go and spread a rumor for me. I want everyone to know I'm not to be trifled with." In a beautiful courtyard, a silver-haired man was gazing at the sky. "Report, Your Holiness. Former Saint Xia and current Saint Nivea have both been involved in scandals. Rumors say Saint Xia defrauded and abused servants, while Saint Nivea kidnapped and abused children from the slums." "Oh!" The man's lips curled into a smile. "How interesting. It started so soon?" "Xia, don't rush. You will be mine. I can't wait to meet you. Give the order. Proceed as planned." Meanwhile, Xia was packing her belongings, preparing to return to the duke's mansion. The only thing she really needed to pack was the engagement ring given by the crown prince. She called a maid and instructed her to return the ring to His Highness. Next, she organized her wardrobe, working for hours. In the end, she decided to throw away the clothes she had custom-made with the crown prince. At this time, the maid returned. She stammered, "My lady, His Highness the Crown Prince wants you to return it to him personally." Walking into the reception room, the dim light illuminated the face she used to see every day. Xia couldn't forget the good times of the past. He still loved her, but couldn't forgive her. "I've come to return the ring, as you requested. It's on the table. I'm leaving. Are you in such a hurry to leave?" He sounded slightly angry and pulled her towards him. Xia lost her balance and was tightly embraced by him. "No, this distance is too close." Just because the divine prophecy changed after 18 years, Xia went from being the true saint to an imposter. Even her childhood sweetheart, the crown prince, abandoned her. When returning the engagement ring, the crown prince seemed to have more to say. Perhaps he still had some lingering feelings for her, but it was unforgivable. For all her years of dedication, she decided to seek revenge. Late at night, her father's pigeon-delivered letter gradually revealed itself in the firelight. Before ending, she instructed Asha to spread rumors about the true saint abusing slum children. It was successful, But now the letter mentioned that Nivea had used her family's honor and her God-given saint status to swear she had never harmed commoners, easily calming the public anger. Xia summoned Asha, asking him to inform her father of the new plan overnight. The next morning, the head servant informed Xia that a mudslide had occurred on the road back to the duke's house, temporarily preventing her from leaving the palace. As expected of her father, he had arranged it so quickly. Originally planning to leave the imperial city immediately, she now had to stay in the palace longer to gather more information about the new saint. She looked pitiful. How could the new saint allow her to continue staying in the palace? Last time, they came to drive her away. This time, it said that the money sent by the temple for building the territory was all spent on dresses and jewelry. Such arrogance, how could they tolerate it? It's outrageous, the head servant said angrily. How could such a person become the new crown princess? You're the child I've watched grow up. As long as you're in this palace, I won't let you suffer any grievances. The door to the great hall was ajar, another scene Xia had prepared in advance, deliberately revealing bad things about the true saint, hoping the palace people would spread the rumors. Looking at the letter in her hand, the effect of the second wave of rumors was indeed good. Now she needed to pay attention to one more faction, the controller of the Pope's divine realm. If rumors could only temporarily utilize public opinion, what could truly shake the foundation was the controller of the divine realm. The saint was the child of the temple. To be against the saint was to be against the temple. They would eventually step in to help. The true saint had to be prepared in advance. What kind of person was the current pope? A madman who wanted Xia all to himself. The pope didn't hesitate to use a fake saint identity to bring her down from the altar. But when hearing that the other party was investigating her, he mysteriously hid his own information. What was he really planning? Meanwhile, Xia was sharing afternoon tea with her maid. Earlier, learning that the new maid was the daughter of the Portua family, she intended to win her over, as her elder brother was the crown prince's assistant. Azel mentioned that her brother was worried lately, as the imperial city might again be at odds with the temple. It was said that some of the temple's responsibilities would be transferred to the imperial city. Xia was secretly shocked. Hadn't they already named the saint as the crown princess according to the divine oracle? How could there be conflict between the two sides? My lady, hello. Xia's thoughts were interrupted by a playful voice. It was the crown prince and the true Saint Nivea arriving together. They were arm in arm intimately. Was this a show of force? Nivea was still as arrogant as before, seemingly greeting, but actually provoking. Xia still didn't give face, teaching her a lesson in front of the crown prince. The crown prince silently watched them argue, not saying a word, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking. Nivea softly coaxed the crown prince to accompany her away, but the crown prince coldly sent her away. Nivea glared at Xia, having no choice but to leave awkwardly. With only two people left in the greenhouse, the crown prince suddenly approached. He warned Xia not to make any more moves, saying he was well aware of her actions these days. Xia fiercely retorted, "You no longer have the right to demand anything from me. I'm doing this for your own good. For my good? You abandoned me." She angrily left the crown prince, floating away. Walking out of the greenhouse, she felt someone following her. Turning around, she saw it was Nivea. She indicated that she already knew Xia was behind the spread of the scandals. She also took the opportunity to show Xia her ring. Wasn't it the engagement ring Xia had returned to the crown prince? Xia felt a twinge of pain in her heart, but remained outwardly calm. Are you so happy wearing someone else's second-hand goods? I don't care if you have your reasons. Being vengeful is just my nature. She drove Nivea away angrily. Asha appeared from her hiding place. She had been secretly protecting Xia. She brought news that Xia's brother would be returning from the battlefield. That's great, and that child will be coming back too. I have another piece to use on the chessboard. Thinking to herself, the person who went to war is about to return. Xia's heart was filled with anticipation. The next morning, Xia woke up surprised to find her bed covered in fresh flowers. You're awake. Xia looked up in surprise. The person who was supposed to return tomorrow was suddenly in front of her, holding flowers. His eyes were clear, his smile shy, just like 3 years ago. He was the crown prince's only brother, and also the emperor's illegitimate son, Alfredo. He threw himself into Xia's arms, calling her sister in a spoiled manner. Who could resist such an affectionate puppy? Xia's thoughts drifted back to childhood. Back then, because of a small act of kindness, the little puppy, isolated due to his sensitive identity, had latched onto her. He clung to her voluntarily, impossible to shake off, until the Empress sent him to the battlefield 3 years ago. Alfredo enjoyed Xia's embrace with a blissful expression. He stated that he was now an adult, old enough to offer himself as a gift to Xia. Such a smooth talker. The young wolf pup seemed very happy after confirming Xia had broken off her engagement. He enthusiastically invited Xia to have breakfast together. Unfortunately, Xia directly refused, but the young wolf pup wasn't discouraged. After leaving Xia's room, his face showed a determined smile. Having sent away the young wolf pup, Xia finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the servants in the mansion were preparing for the welcoming banquet for the returning warriors. Xia became excited at the thought of appearing at the banquet as the former crown princess, able to upset the crown prince and the leftover bride. This was also a rare opportunity to strike at her opponents. But what method should she use specifically? Xia summoned Asha. Asha brought news from her father. The family of Saint Jia had used a scandal to blackmail a big merchant into providing financial support. Their family had even colluded with the temple before Saint Jia took her position. It was rumored that the high priest and Saint Jia were secret lovers. Xia had some doubts about this. After all, clergy members weren't allowed to fall in love. But this gave Xia an idea. To break down the enemy's defenses, she could start from within. Do something for me. Go seduce Miss Lurtella. Under Asha's surprised gaze, Xia issued a new order. Use the little puppy to openly seduce the new saint and poison his drink. Also, catch him in an indescribable act with the high priest. Revenge is truly addictive. 3 days ago, from the mouths of the thugs sent by the new saint to assassinate Xia unsuccessfully, she learned that the crown prince and Nivea would attend the victory banquet for the war. Xia then plotted with her maid on how to humiliate Nivea at the banquet. That evening, Xia entered arm in arm with her victorious brother. Her powerful aura would absolutely not be diminished just because she had lost her saint status. While Nivea was foolishly chatting with other noble ladies, Xia, without anyone noticing, put the drug her father had sent earlier into her wine glass. Seeing Nivea's steps begin to falter, Xia actively pulled her close and taunted in her ear. All your scandals were fabricated and spread by me. Nivea, already hot-tempered and now under the influence of the drug, couldn't help but speak recklessly. When I become the crown princess, the first thing I'll do is make you kneel at my feet. The maid came over to protect her mistress, but was slapped by Nivea. As the drug took effect, Nivea couldn't control her emotions. In the end, she even hit Xia. At this moment, the mistress and maid, now transformed into little lambs, gained the sympathy and affection of everyone at the banquet. People criticized Nivea's low quality, saying, "Is such a shrew qualified to be the crown princess?" Nivea shouted, "Stop acting. Aren't you afraid of being punished by God for doing this?" Xia retorted, "Who will be punished? Me, or you who falsely claims to speak for God?" A complex expression appeared on Nivea's face, making Xia more certain that there was a problem with the divine oracle. Nivea pushed and fell. Xia lost her balance, but fell into gentle arms. Looking up, it was the crown prince. Nivea left in shame. The crown prince, however, pulled Xia and pressed her against the wall. "Didn't I warn you not to cause trouble again?" He touched her face, his expression not of blame, but of concern. "Rather than blame me, you should keep an eye on your new saint." The crown prince said nothing more, just pulled her hand and gave it a deep kiss. What exactly did he want to do? After leaving the crown prince, Xia went alone to the rooftop for some air. Asha appeared from a hidden spot, bringing Xia an explosive discovery. The drunk Nivea was actually being intimate with the high priest. "Can you be mine?" The dagger before her was covered in blood. This man wanted to kidnap her at their first meeting. After the ball, Xia informed her brother that Asha had brought news of the new saint's intimate relationship with the high priest. Nivea was neither a great beauty nor particularly talented. What could make the high priest willing to break taboos and be intimate with her? Her brother suggested killing the high priest and faking his suicide. Leave a suicide note saying the divine oracle was false and they were lovers. So he made her the saint, but unable to bear the guilt of breaking taboos, he chose death. Xia considered that killing clergy would incur divine punishment. Moreover, the oracle was received by the Pope and several priests together. Killing him wouldn't solve all problems, so she asked her brother to continue investigating. After parting with her brother, Xia returned to her chambers alone. "Don't move. Someone of high status wants to see you." Suddenly, someone appeared behind her and covered her mouth. Xia wasn't afraid. She threw the sulfuric acid she carried to repel the attacker. The next second, she stabbed his shoulder with a dagger. "Stop!" A white light absorbed her dagger. A silver-haired man descended from the sky. Xia was immobilized by his cold aura. A white light flashed from his palm, instantly healing the kidnapper's wound. I ordered him to do it. I am the master of the temple. This was the absolute power holder that even the emperor couldn't easily provoke. The Pope, Xia feigned calmness. What do you want from me? Can you be mine? I'm no longer the saint. What value could I have for you? The Pope's gaze was terrifying yet confident and prideful. You think the divine oracle really changed? Back in her chambers, a maid came to announce that the crown prince summoned her. Why aren't you with your new saint, your highness? Why do you always mention her? Can't you ask how I am? Even if I was taken away, you don't care? Xia couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. From childhood, I've lived for you, yet you abandoned me overnight. Did you consider my feelings? Now I no longer need you. I don't want to involve you in a marriage you don't want anymore. Asha before her cried with sympathy. A few days after the ball, many noble ladies gathered around her again, not only bringing gifts, but also constantly flattering her. Although Xia had acted for sympathy at the ball and humiliated Nivea, she was no longer the saint. Such flattery must mean something had happened. She sought out Asha and learned of rumors that the Pope wanted Xia to be the next saint. But it wasn't confirmed yet. This was contradictory. In the empire, saint had two meanings. One was possessing strong divine power, equal to the Pope, concerned with the people's welfare. The other meaning was that this position was for the Pope's consort. People in the temple couldn't marry or fall in love with others, but the Pope could. This was a manifestation of the Pope's privilege and authority. In other words, the Pope wanted her to marry him. After their last meeting, his attempt to kidnap her failed. Then he secretly came to her room at midnight, trying to coax her to sleep. It seems the Pope really has some intentions towards her. What do you plan to do? Don't treat yourself as a tool anymore. I will give my life for you. Her brother wanted to take Xia away from the palace, to live a peaceful life at home. But Xia decided to stay in the palace for now. Whether the divine oracle truly changed, if there was a conspiracy to attack her family using this opportunity, what were the Pope's intentions towards her? She needed to figure it all out. Brother, I might be kidnapped in a few days. The crown prince won't let me act recklessly like this. Please arrange some people in advance. That night in the knight's quarters, a carrier pigeon brought a secret letter from their mother. She wanted him to find books recording nobles' illegal activities. Those books detailed which nobles committed bribery or other illegal acts, and how to punish them. Even the royal family's crimes were listed one by one. What did Mother want these for? She tiptoed into the royal library. Could it be hidden up high? She lost her footing, but fell into a warm embrace. Sister, it's Alfredo. For men aren't enough for you? Your brother is even rushing to introduce new men to you. Alfredo helped her find the book she needed. Her mother's request was finally fulfilled. This morning, her brother came to tell her that his plan to return to the Duke's territory had changed. Because on the way home, part of the temple's territory had an outbreak of infectious disease. Yet the imperial city provided no support. Xia considered this might be a royal conspiracy. The emperor wanted Nivea to become the crown princess, according to the oracle, to bring peace and stability to the empire. And Xia's political talents, cultivated over many years, couldn't be easily discarded. So now, she was very concerned about the rumors of the Pope wanting her to be the saint. No matter what, she had to get clarity from the Pope today. Learning that his sister was meeting the Pope today, he assigned his most trusted person to protect Xia closely. This handsome man was Siren, the vice-captain of the 4th Knight Order. Why arrange him? Because I feel he might be your type. The two of them arrived at the temple. The temple guard stopped them, seeing people from the imperial city. Well, the temple and the royal family had never gotten along. Xia calmly brushed back her hair. The temple guards automatically made way. This pink hair was proof of her identity. Welcome. How have you been these days? Let's get straight to the point. That's right, the rumor that you'll become the saint of the temple. I spread it. I just want you to be my partner. What use could I be to you? Besides, I'm not someone who submits easily. Are you willing to be a puppet of the royal family? Xia had been speculating that the change in the divine oracle was fake. It was a conspiracy between Nivea and the high priest. But she hadn't thought about becoming the Pope's partner either. If that's all you have to say, I'd like to leave now. Wait, the Pope took out the will of the previous Pope. Only you can become the crown princess and bring peace and tranquility. The divine oracle was fake from the beginning. What? It's not that the oracle changed recently. It was fake from the start. Then what have I been living for? What do all my years of effort amount to? Calm down. If I said that you becoming the crown princess was fake, would that make you happy? The true oracle is that you will bring peace and tranquility to the empire. but not necessarily as the crown princess. The emperor has always used the oracle to manipulate you like a puppet. After all, marriage for most nobles in the empire is just a transaction. Even if it's not the path they should take, they'll walk it for those few coins. You were brought to the palace as a child, forced to separate from your family. Confined in the palace to study politics. The emperor cruelly hoped you'd push beyond your limits. If this isn't exploitation, what is it? Xingxia, you seem to have some misunderstanding. His Majesty never forced me. He looked out the window. Do you see that clock tower over there? That's what I wanted to build. At the time, the nobles strongly opposed it, saying I was extravagant. But I just said I wanted it, and that silenced them. Because I thought for those people without clocks, they could see the time. And a landmark building would also increase tourism revenue. I'm sure what I did was meaningful. Studying politics, helping the royal family with their worries was my own choice. It's the meaning I created and what this position gave me. But Xingxia, you care so much about me. I really want to team up with you now. To get revenge on that unfaithful man, he thought to himself. This woman is really strong. She doesn't blame others. Her ambition isn't about power, but the sense of achievement that power brings. Then I need to hold my ground now and try to tempt you. Well, let's end it here for today. You can use my name as you wish. Xia left the temple. Outside, some people had gathered to eavesdrop on gossip. Having confirmed that Xia indeed had a connection with the Pope, the nobles eagerly tried to curry favor. Others are still praying. How can you make such a commotion? The person who rebuked everyone was the high priest, who had an ambiguous relationship with Nivea. Xia calmly walked out of the crowd and apologized on behalf of everyone. But she noticed that when the high priest saw her, his expression became tense. How's your relationship with His Highness the Crown Prince? As Xia left the temple, she was pulled away by everyone for afternoon tea. Everyone was complaining about how the high priest had just scolded them for making a commotion outside the temple. At this moment, an elderly voice sarcastically remarked, "She's no longer the crown princess. Why is she still lingering in the palace?" This unknown supporter of the Qing faction seemed to be trying to probe her. The royal family's relationship was too good now. They needed someone like this to spread information, to re-establish her position. She said, "Do you think I still covet the position of crown princess? Rather than that, it's more like His Highness the Crown Prince wants me to stay." Sister, there's no need to waste words with these people. Brother has come to pick you up. The siblings changed into casual clothes. Brother wanted to take her somewhere. Actually, I've always been curious. Why is brother so eager to go to the battlefield? Because rather than being a hero loved by the people, I'm happier to have obtained that piece of land. Others think it's useless, but I know. It's a hidden gem mine. The siblings arrived at a place that makes knives. Brother had intended to give her a dagger for self-defense. But unexpectedly, the previously agreed-upon dagger was delayed due to various issues with the shop. The siblings walked out of the shop. At the entrance, they met a little girl selling flowers. People around were whispering, "How dare that child approach nobles? Isn't she afraid of being taken away?" Xia saw that the girl was dirty, but her eyes were very clear. She gently bought her flowers and inquired about her family situation. Watching the girl's retreating figure, brother keenly sensed that the child had an infectious disease. It's best not to get too close. But Xia suggested to her brother that they go see the slums. The epidemic 4 years ago, the crown prince decided to burn down the village. Although it promptly contained the spread of the plague and was praised by the people, how many lives were actually harmed? So for this epidemic, Xia wants to find doctors to personally treat it. The siblings decided to go to the slums now to check the situation. Fire! Run! Thick smoke filled the area, flames raging. A woman fell heavily to the ground. She couldn't crawl anymore. Hold my hand. It was Xia and her brother who had arrived. At this moment, the show directed by Xia and her brother began. 4 years ago, during the epidemic, to appease the people, the crown prince burned all the people in the infected village to death. He solved the source of the disease and was praised. But the dirty and lowly commoners, no one cared for them. But this time, Xia couldn't bear to watch innocent people die tragically again. On one hand, he disguised people as the crown prince's men to set a small fire. On the other hand, he arranged for doctors to treat refugees and move everyone to a safe place. After such a story spreads, people will naturally compare him to the crown prince. One cruel, one merciful. Everyone will praise his noble character and develop an aversion to the crown prince. This is one of the consequences of the crown prince breaking off the engagement. "Noble sir," the little girl who sold flowers during the day called out to Xia. The even more frail boy next to the girl caught their attention. The boy was coughing incessantly, and even his nails had turned black. Could it be the highly contagious Baladria disease where parasites grow in the body? The siblings were together every day, yet the sister hadn't contracted this serious illness. Fanjie could still climb mountains every day to pick flowers. Xia keenly sensed that the girl's constitution was unusual. Upon Xia's inquiry, the girl told them that they were half-siblings with different fathers. Her father was from the kingdom of Asiola. It was an extremely cold land plagued by constant wars. Adult women there dominated men, possessing huge bodies and immense strength. I'll give you two choices now. One is to come live and receive treatment at my home with your brother. Two is to wait here for the doctor's treatment and then live in a new home. You didn't mind my brother being dirty and bought my flowers. If I can help you, I'm willing to go to the Duke's house. Thank you. You'll be a great help to me. Finally, having dealt with the plague-ridden slum situation, the siblings could breathe a sigh of relief. But suddenly a servant came to report that Her Majesty the Empress had fainted from poisoning. What? Xia, who had been brought into the imperial city since childhood and groomed as a political puppet of the empire, after losing her saint's halo, was ruthlessly abandoned by the crown prince and then bullied by the new saint who came to her door. Unwilling to quietly exit the stage like this, she wanted to make the crown prince pay for breaking off the engagement. In the process of investigating the new saint, she discovered that she had an indescribable relationship with the high priest of the temple, and the pope, who descended from heaven and showed particular concern for her, told her that the divine oracle had not changed. The imperial city and the temple had always been at odds. The true and false saints were dazzling. The crown prince, who had been hoping for her to cause trouble, finally made his move against her. Xia, who had just dealt with the slum epidemic with her brother, heard the news of the empress's poisoning, but didn't immediately return to the imperial city upon being summoned, because she instinctively felt that this was a rumor prepared to confine her. She happily went shopping and dining with her brother, only returning to the imperial city at dawn. Her brother didn't understand why. Knowing it was a trap, she still pretended not to know and entered the tiger's den. What if something went wrong? Xia explained that His Majesty the Emperor had remained silent all along, while the crown prince tried every means to prevent her from investigating the truth. There must be some unspeakable secret in between, so we must follow their moves to minimize the danger to ourselves and our family. Xia, who had just entered the palace, was startled by an eerie voice. It was the crown prince. I heard you went to the temple. Your Highness, did you have someone follow me? Listen carefully. From now on, you are a criminal who attempted to assassinate the Empress. Such slander will be cleared up as soon as there's an investigation at the tribunal. You think you'll have a chance for that? The crown prince ignored his protests. He threw him into a dark room. This place had already been set up as a flawless crime scene. Because of you, things have become distorted. Now the people are full of complaints. Seeing the crown prince's furious state, he felt pain. You just need to take care of yourself. Why do you always say it's my fault? If you apologize to me now and beg to stay by my side, I'll consider letting you go. Making me lower my dignity before you? From breaking off the engagement until now, what do I have to apologize to you for? It's ridiculous. In that case, Hiren, watch him carefully. What? Isn't Hiren my brother's man? The crown prince didn't want Xia to leave, but inadvertently pushed him into the pope's embrace. After the crown prince falsely accused Xia of poisoning the empress and confined him, Xia wasn't willing to be framed like this. He blatantly threatened Hiren. Your family's lives are in my brother's hands. If you want them to live, help me send these 2 letters out. One letter was for his brother, the other for the Pope. Is our agreement still valid? The Pope smiled smugly upon seeing the letter. Prepare the carriage. I'm going to the imperial city immediately. The brother also received Xia's letter. He didn't understand why Xia insisted on staying in the imperial city, knowing it was a trap. The old butler beside him explained, perhaps it's the dream of revenge, the people's opinions, or love. Love might be something even the young miss herself doesn't know about. 18 years of feelings can't be let go of so easily. Just then a servant reported, the Duke and Duchess are heading towards the capital. The news of Xia poisoning the Empress and being confined had spread throughout the city. Hearing that the Duke and Duchess had left their domain and were coming to the capital, even the Emperor finally became a bit restless. The empress had been Xia's teacher, and the two had always had a good relationship. Moreover, the empress's family and Xia's family were two important forces supporting the empire. If this matter wasn't handled well now, it could easily cause national unrest. Your Majesty, what do you plan to do? If the divine oracle has changed, I was thinking of having her marry Alfredo. But it seems the crown prince still has feelings for Xia. Although the empress's family is powerful, her life is over. What can they do? If the empress dies, we can confine Xia in the imperial city and also keep the duke under our control. No matter what, my throne cannot be shaken by anyone. Your Majesty, the crown prince requests an audience with his father. Please release Xia immediately. Let him rest at the duke's mansion in the imperial city. He just attempted suicide by poison. It turns out Xia had made an excuse to send away the guards, then sprinkled some unknown drug on his own food. You need to understand your position. Since he's no longer the saint, nor your fiancé, he won't be the one marrying you. He's now just a discarded pawn. Why do you still pity him? With such a mindset, how can you become the ruler of a country? Get out of my sight. It's been 3 days. If he doesn't wake up today, I'll have you buried with him. The crown prince scolded the physician before him, holding Xia's hand. Do you hate me so much that you'd rather die than stay by my side? Xia coughed up a mouthful of blood, then fell back into unconsciousness. In his dream, the crown prince kissed her. When she regained consciousness, there was no one by her side. A carrier pigeon flew to her bedside. It was medicine from her brother to help cleanse the remaining poison from her body. The letter also informed her that the emperor had announced she wasn't the culprit who poisoned the empress. Rumors said the crown prince didn't want to let her go, so he kept her confined. What are you doing there? The crown prince's voice came from behind. I'm leaving the imperial city tomorrow, Xia said. I've proven my innocence with poison. His Majesty has also publicly declared I'm not a criminal, so I have no reason to stay. If you frame me as a criminal and confine me again, then you truly wish for my death. What if I don't allow it? The crown prince remained firm. At this moment, Xia couldn't control her long-suppressed emotions. You say engage, we engage. You say break off the engagement, we break it off. I still have to obey. Until when? He shook her shoulders. What do you mean obey me? Do you know what I long for? You could have refused my request to break off the engagement. You could have turned back even with tears, but you didn't. My hope was that no matter the situation, you would firmly choose me. Is it so hard to let go of your pride? It was you who abandoned me. Your Highness, why didn't you put aside your pride and ask if I wanted to be your crown princess? I was trained from childhood to be a political puppet. Though exhausting and missing my family, I still stayed in the imperial city because I loved you. Really? You stayed in the imperial city until now because of love. I stepped down from the position of crown princess. I stayed this long because I didn't want to give up our 10+ years of feelings. But now I'm tired of it. I don't love you anymore. Thank you for this time. It allowed me to sort out my feelings for you. Xia, stop. You say you love me. Why are you still leaving? The crown prince ran towards Xia, trying to hold her back. Xia pulled out a dagger. As they struggled, the dagger cut Xia's neck. It's the first time seeing a man pull a woman's hair. The woman took out a knife and cut her hair. Is cutting hair to end a relationship fate? The crown prince stood there stunned, holding half of the long hair. Xia returned to her room. Tears still flowed uncontrollably. Might as well cut the hair short completely. Suddenly, there was a noise outside. She alertly opened the door. Silver hair illuminated him. I received your letter. I came to show my sincerity through action. Don't you like it? The Pope has arrived. I'm not the saint, nor the crown princess. I have nothing left to give you. Xia said dejectedly. I'm sorry you came for nothing. Please leave. I won't leave, the Pope said. Whether it's lost spiritual love or anyone, we must give love unconditionally. So what are you sad about? The path gets wider as you walk. Don't do foolish things like shouting at this wall anymore. Believe in yourself and keep walking. The path will become your own. The Pope comforted Xia, stroking her face. You've been through a lot lately. Get some sleep. This isn't the end, but a new beginning. When the first ray of sunlight fell on the bed, Xia woke up. Looking in the mirror, she saw her hair was now short. Did you sleep well? Short hair suits you too. The Pope walked in. Cutting your hair wasn't difficult for me. What? You cut my hair? Why are you still here? The Pope touched her forehead. Because you didn't let me leave last night. You're lying. I'm God's representative. I don't lie. How do you feel today compared to yesterday? Are you still a woman immersed in sorrow? Let me be honest with you. The knowledge you worked hard to learn to become crown princess is what I value. My holy power is only effective when people believe in God. How long will that last? One day, it might be pushed aside by power. So I really need you. I don't want you to become a tool of the temple. But my strength alone isn't enough. I need someone like me. So, are you willing to become my saint? Xia was moved by the Pope's words. Yes, she thought she had no value left and didn't know how to move forward. All right, I agree. But on one condition. I need to visit the Duke's mansion in the Imperial City today. The Pope smiled. The carriage is ready. Let's go together. If you leave now, I'll kill you. As Xia and the Pope were about to leave the Imperial City, the Crown Prince threatened them bluntly. Seeing the Pope about to act, Xia quickly held him back. She said sternly to the Crown Prince, "Step aside. No one can block my path." The two of them walked past the Crown Prince in front of everyone. As they passed by him, Xia whispered with a laugh, "Now, you're the only puppet left for the Emperor." As they walked out of the courtyard, the carriage they were to ride burst into flames, then exploded into ashes. Xia broke out in a cold sweat. "The Crown Prince is insane." "Don't worry," the Pope comforted. "It was expected, isn't it? Come with me." Pope, Sheng Xia, and the former Crown Princess riding in such a shabby carriage. "I really didn't expect that." It was prepared in a hurry. Please bear with it." Xia's expression finally relaxed. "The sunlight outside the window is so warm. I'm curious, are all your family members impulsive and abrupt? My mother has a fiery temper. My father is generally quiet, but he's very strict when it comes to family matters. I think they're passionate and warm family members. His Majesty the Emperor is looking for you." Looking at Xia's cut hair, the still-dazed Crown Prince was summoned to the hall. "You can't even watch one person. What else can you do?" "I heard Xia left with people from the temple." "Yes. Useless. Has Lady Nivea returned? She's not up to some tricks at the temple, is she?" The Crown Prince remained silent. "I don't know." The Emperor held his forehead. "The Duke and Duchess of Fessentera have already started to act. The nobles will follow their lead. I trusted you so much, yet you messed up everything. I'll go bring Lady Nivea back right now and find out why the temple took Xia away. If you fail again this time, don't be the Crown Prince anymore." Meanwhile, at the dark and windy palace gate, a tall man was beaten to the ground, coughing blood, by a woman. "After years away, there should be more people welcoming me." The Empress wiped the blood splattered on her face. "Don't waste time. Let's depart quickly." She and a man got into a carriage. "Are you sure this agreement isn't about love?" "Oh, I don't believe in love anymore. I only believe in mutual benefits." The Pope smiled slightly, saying nothing, and took Xia's hand. He placed a shiny dagger in her palm. "Those invisible things are indeed hard to believe. So, see you in the courtyard at noon." Whoosh! A silver figure flashed in front of Apurato. At this time, this man is coming out of Sister's room. Xia packed her luggage and went to the study to check the book used to exchange messages with the Duke's family. A note fell out of it. "I'm not sick." It was the Empress's handwriting, right? The Empress knew she favored this history book before. If the Empress isn't sick, Xia was deep in thought when Apurato's sister interrupted her. "Come, sister. Your hair, it suits you," he said, blushing. "I heard you were poisoned. I was very worried. When you were imprisoned, I wanted to help too, but my power was still too weak in the end." "Apurato, you're no longer that child who hid in my room to escape the loneliness of the Imperial City." Xia stroked his face. "You're worthy enough for your current position." His eyes glistened with tears. "Sister, are you really leaving? You know the Imperial City is only for the royal family to live in, and now is also the best time for me to regain my reputation." "What does that mean?" "My lady, the carriage is ready. The Pope's people have come to pick him up. I'm leaving, Apurato. Take care of yourself. Write to me often, okay?" Walking on the path of departure, she was glad the weather was nice today. "God must be happy about our journey together." The Pope and Xia walked side by side. "Then if it rains, God must be crying in anger at our agreement," Xia joked. "Not tears of joy. Do you interpret everything this way?" I tend to interpret things in a positive way." Unloading the burden felt lighter than imagined. Xia and the Pope chatted and laughed. The atmosphere was beautiful. But ahead, the Crown Prince's black face appeared before them. "I won't let you leave. We learned from the same book. If I can't have it, I'll destroy it." In the world of love, every couple has their special nickname. The cold and naive High Pope. To possess her, carried out his plan step by step. The romantic escape finally ended. They returned to the mansion in the capital where Xia's family resided. Xia hadn't even caught her breath on the bed when she was disturbed by the High Pope's knock. "We who are about to become partners in the hearts of the people," he spoke calmly. "It seems inappropriate to still call you a palace maid. Then call me by my name, Xia." A plain name spoken from his mouth, almost like a spell, awakened the softest part of Xia's heart. Waking up in the morning, she remembered to prepare a change of clothes for the Pope, so she decided to arrange her brother's clothes for him first. "Good morning," he said softly, adjusting his tie. "Your brother's clothes suit me quite well, don't they?" The two ate breakfast, learning about each other's dietary preferences. Unexpectedly, her brother suddenly returned. "Xia, you finally escaped." Her brother's gaze lingered on the silver-haired man. "Wearing my clothes?" The air suddenly froze. "Silver hair, could it be?" Xia pulled her brother aside. She had reached an agreement with the Pope to continue being a saint as the Pope's partner. "Don't tell me you're still hoping for love." Her brother's voice held disbelief and warning. "No, we're just using each other." After reassuring her brother, Xia met the Pope in the study. "What are you doing? There are many interesting books here. How was your chat with the Duke?" "Don't worry, my brother believes me. But I want to ask you one more time. Am I really the true saint?" The Pope remained silent. She really wasn't. "All right, then what does being the Pope's partner entail?" The Pope smiled, touching her face. "You don't need to do anything. Just stay by my side." Even if this man was silver and cold, it couldn't hide the power emanating from him. Ripples stirred in Xia's heart. He didn't know yet that she was slowly falling for his charm. While some were falling in love, others were being scolded by men. Ivia was brought back to the palace by the crown prince's men and immediately received a harsh reprimand. "Who told you to leave the palace at will? Do you know how severely I was scolded by father because of you?" This new saint was truly miserable, having a capable sister who might threaten her brother's position as heir. In a dimly lit study, a blank paper before her was illuminated by firelight. But this time no text appeared. Just then, her brother's call diverted Xia's attention. "You really don't let me have peace for a minute." Xia confidently responded that she was skilled at handling political documents. She suggested that all future family documents could be handled by her. Her brother joked that if this continued, his position would be in danger. Xia teased back that the Duke's heir didn't even have a fiancée, suggesting he find someone to marry. Otherwise, people might misunderstand that he liked men. Her brother was actually single since birth, the biggest secret of the Duke's family. Her brother half-seriously warned that if this secret leaked, he would suspect her first. He revealed that the only women he loved in this life were his sister and mother. Hearing this, Xia felt happy, but then curiously asked where her brother was going. He answered that he was going to the information market. Bored, Xia continued wandering around the house, seeing holy light spilling from the Pope's room. The Pope was kneeling on the ground, praying devoutly. "Oh, sorry. The door was open, so let's go for a walk together." The Pope was still as gentle as ever towards her. The weather was getting cooler. Xia couldn't help but shiver. The Pope suddenly sensed an ominous presence. He told Xia to go inside to warm up while he waited for danger to arrive. A black-clad figure appeared suddenly from the shadows like a ghost. A sharp blade was pressed against the Pope's neck. "If you kill a clergy member, you'll be punished by God. Aren't you afraid?" The black-clad person said they only wanted to force him to hand over Xia. "Dream on." He turned with surprising agility and decisiveness, grabbing the attacker's neck. Swiftly, more black-clad figures descended from above, surrounding him. But in the next moment, Xia arrived with soldiers just in time. They caught all the other ambush points in one fell swoop. "Did you think you could deceive me with such tricks?" The two had just repelled the attackers and were catching their breath when they saw a maid rushing in urgently. "Young master is severely injured and has lost consciousness." After the betrayal of breaking off the engagement and false accusations, Xia and the Pope's elopement had angered the royal family, even their own family. Her brother's group had been ambushed and were badly wounded. His life was in danger. Xia could do nothing now but wait for the doctor to arrive. "Now you need my help, don't you?" The Pope came to her brother's bedside. His hands glowed with intense light, surrounding the wounded back. In just a moment, her brother's wounds miraculously healed. "Is this the power of holy magic? We've become partners, so we're family now. This level is not difficult for me." The Pope smiled. "Thank you. It's all right. Seeing your smile puts me at ease." When the servant reported that the doctor had arrived, her brother was already out of danger. Xia instructed the doctor to treat the other injured knights. However, because the poison in the knight's arm wound was too deep, he faced the fate of amputation. Can I trouble you one more time? Of course, I'm glad you asked for my help. The Pope once again used his divine power. His golden holy light not only healed the knight, but also amazed everyone with this mysterious power. At this moment, a maid came to report that her brother had awakened. The Pope promised to continue caring for the remaining wounded, allowing Xia to go to her brother's side without worry. The Pope's gentleness and power deeply comforted Xia. Although I still feel a bit of pain, it's amazing. The awakened brother looked in good spirits. Xia expressed that compared to the cruelty of the battlefield, such assassinations were more terrifying. Her brother only had wounds on his back. She instinctively believed that to plan such an assassination, only the crown prince had such capability. Her brother recalled that all the assassins wore black robes. In the end, unable to resist, they all committed suicide. It seemed the royal family was extremely displeased with Xia, the former crown princess, teaming up with the current pope. Her brother patted Xia's head. Don't be afraid, I trust your choice. Now, it appears the crown prince's position is precarious. No wonder he's so ruthless. After this day of assassination attempts and her brother's brush with death, Xia was exhausted and felt powerless. Just as she was sinking into self-blame, someone placed a hand on her shoulder. Falling in love with someone means wanting to know everything about them. Xia was startled when someone grabbed her shoulder. She turned around angrily, but was even more surprised. It was the Pope. With that expression, if you had a dagger in your hand, I might have lost my life. Xia asked why he was so quiet. The Pope said Xia was too lost in thought and didn't respond when he called. What's going on in that little head of yours? I'm thinking about my own incompetence. Everyone is powerless. Just go with the flow and deal with things as they come. Looking at it this way, I know nothing about your age, appearance, upbringing, or personality. Only you comfort me. I've never cared for you. Are you starting to get curious? If you call me by my name, I'll tell you everything gradually. Asriel, Xia slowly called out his name. My parents passed away. I fainted near the temple. The previous pope found and raised me. I don't know how old I am, but I should be about the same age as your brother and the crown prince. The reason I wanted to become pope is, well, why indeed? It's late. We should head back to our rooms. Hey, why are you suddenly changing the subject? You go to sleep first. Xia went straight for a book when she returned to her room. The Pope took off his robe and gave it to Xia, saying, if you can't sleep, covering yourself with this will help you fall asleep. Or should I just lull you to sleep? Get out already. Meanwhile, the spying guard reported to the crown prince. The Pope wasn't at the temple when he last appeared, but was heading towards the imperial city in a carriage. The guard in charge of the assassination reported that the mission failed. There was a silver-haired man who looked like a clergy member with the maid. The crown prince was shocked. The person who left with Xia that day was the Pope. He was surprisingly young. The next day, her brother handed her what seemed to be intelligence obtained yesterday. It was the list of nobles attending the National Founding Festival. Sylvia Eden. This name caught his attention. A former flower of high society, Eden combined beauty, character, and nobility. She was the only daughter of the Duke's family. Rumors said that after her engagement was broken, she begged in vain, heartbroken, and hasn't been seen in public since. Brother, I want all the information on this young lady. Also, through this National Founding Festival, I want everyone to see our Duke family's wealth. To gain favor with rich merchants, he restrained the assassins. The day they tried to kill his brother, his spirits were much better. After breakfast, the three of them went for a walk in the courtyard. The Pope suddenly called out to Xia, let me show you something interesting. His finger lightly touched a flower bud that hadn't yet bloomed. Instantly, the flower blossomed magnificently. Xia couldn't help but exclaim, holy power is truly amazing. The Pope smiled and picked the flower. This flower is for you. Don't worry, flowers that pass through my hands won't wither so quickly. This romantic gesture made Xia's face turn bright red. Even her brother couldn't help but grin as he came over to admire the beautiful flower. The weather is so nice. Why don't we go boating? Sounds good. The Pope agreed. Their relationship, when did it become so close? The three arrived at the lake. Young ladies, learning that her charming brother was there, gathered around. However, onlookers began to whisper, discussing the unusual combination of Duke Pheasantile and the clergyman. Xia unconsciously smiled and linked arms with the Pope, playfully saying to her brother, pick a sister-in-law for me from these people. We're going to play first. Don't leave me behind, her brother said awkwardly. On the rippling lake's surface, the Pope asked Xia when she last went boating. Xia suddenly remembered the time she spent with the Crown Prince, but she held back those bitter memories and just lowered her head. I don't remember clearly, but it should have been before I was 3 years old. Since entering the imperial city at 3, I've never been out. The Pope suddenly playfully splashed water on Xia's face. Laughing softly, he gently said, "Remember this moment. This is a beautiful memory. Don't forget it." Reaching the shore, Xia almost fell into the water due to carelessness. The Pope caught her in time. My goodness, his chest is so warm. Before they could savor this ambiguous atmosphere, suddenly, shouts of killing erupted. A group of assassins appeared. In the distance, some civilians were also crying for help in panic. The knights in the imperial city arrived in time. Fighting alongside the Pope and her brother, they repelled the assassins. But no one knew that this group of assassins was actually arranged by Xia herself. "Duke, thank you for saving my daughter." Xia successfully planned an assassination attempt, winning the support of imperial merchants and consolidating her family's power. The politically savvy Xia was a bit concerned about what the Pope would think of her, so she chose to keep it a secret, only telling her brother about it. In the quiet of the night, Xia insisted that her brother accompany her to practice swordsmanship. Xia understood that in this dangerous world, she couldn't always rely on her brother and Asha's protection. She must learn to be independent. During practice, although her brother still had a slight shoulder injury, he still easily knocked Xia down. Her brother stated that the current Alfredo could defeat him. The once child, now tempered by the battlefield, has grown into a warrior. He now has a new nickname, the Blood Demon. Xia's thoughts involuntarily drifted to him. How is this child doing lately? In a dark corner of the palace, the Crown Prince's eyes were flashing with deep hostility towards Alfredo. He angrily questioned why Alfredo had entered without permission. Alfredo calmly responded that the king had sent him to learn how to be a qualified crown prince. The Crown Prince stood up, coldly surveying Alfredo. His tone was full of contempt and provocation. He questioned Alfredo's ambition, whether he wanted to replace him based on just one word from the king. At this moment, the Crown Prince seemed to view everything around him as filth, ordering attendants to clean the hall. Alfredo, at this point, could no longer suppress his inner anger. He stated that even if he coveted the position of Crown Prince, what could the Crown Prince do about it? He emphasized that he was no longer controlled by other members of the family. Since Xia left, he had no more concerns. The Crown Prince contemptuously called Alfredo a bastard and threatened that once he ascended the throne, it would be Alfredo's death day. However, Alfredo was not afraid. He firmly stated that he was no longer the child who was easily bullied and felt inferior due to his low birth. He wouldn't lose to the Crown Prince in terms of ability. Just as the tension between the two reached its peak, an attendant interrupted them. "Your Highness, Lady Nivea has disappeared." The Crown Prince rushed into Nivea's chamber. The scene before him made him furious. Asha was bending down to kiss Nivea's jade feet. The Crown Prince's voice, mixed with anger, echoed throughout the room. "Is it so hard for you to stay put? You dare to bring such a lowly person into the palace? Have you gone mad or become reckless?" Nivea's expression was complex and helpless. She only uttered 3 words, "I'm sorry." In this cold palace, she seemed particularly lonely. Asha said softly, "He is the only one who sees the beauty in Nivea's heart." But before he could finish, the Crown Prince interrupted. "Guards, throw this insolent fool out of the palace." The Crown Prince's voice thundered. Nivea's body weakly collapsed to the ground. Her only solace had been taken away. Meanwhile, Xia was playing chess with the Pope. A maid brought the latest news about Asha. It turned out that Asha had been seducing Nivea all this time and had successfully won her heart. Xia calmly instructed the maid to have Asha stand by and report any information obtained from Nivea. In the lingering autumn rain, Viscount Mario was hanged at the execution ground for murdering a noble lady. Xia and her brother quietly watched in the crowd. It was they who had exposed Mario. But this was not just because of the conflict over the family's rice expansion project. There was another reason. Who gave you the audacity to execute Mario without my consent? The Crown Prince roared from the other side. Little did he know this was the Emperor's decision. He felt his power was being stripped away bit by bit. Meanwhile, rumors spread both inside and outside the palace. Some said Viscount Mario was originally the Emperor's man, and his execution meant he had lost the Emperor's protection. Others said that since the second prince returned from the battlefield, there had been various unusual movements. Would the position of heir change? I saw with my own eyes people from Duke Pheasantayer's family walking with the clergy. Could it be that Duke Pheasantayer had sided with the temple? It's said that Duke Pheasantayer's family mines are about to export gems. If this is true, then their family will become the empire's richest in name and reality. All of this was a series of operations Xia carried out to exact revenge for the broken engagement. The Pope smiled and said, "I originally thought I was using you, but now it seems I'm the one being used by you." The crown prince actually ordered the burning of the sacred temple. His impulsive action forced Xia and the Pope to temporarily separate. "You're returning to the temple tomorrow, right?" At this moment, Xia and the Pope were sharing breakfast. "If you're free this afternoon, let's play chess." The Pope chuckled and agreed. "You're really persistent. Aren't you tired of playing for 5 days straight? 255 wins, 256 losses. I haven't won yet. Don't let me win on purpose. I want a fair and square victory." This woman really has a strong competitive spirit. "The eggs are delicious. Here's one for you. But being picky about eggs is not good for your health. Eat it up, okay?" "Haha, all right." Her brother watched them secretly from the side. They're getting along quite well. Late at night, Xia was alone listening to the gentle rain in the night breeze. Suddenly, she smelled a pungent scent of fresh blood. She fearfully pulled back the curtain, finding the Pope standing outside the window. Sorry, did I come to the wrong room? I must have startled you. Are you hurt? I heard that clergy don't kill. Thank you for your concern. It's someone else's blood that got on my robe. The temple caught fire. There's a bit of chaos. Hearing that I'm returning tomorrow, someone deliberately set fire tonight. I'm glad you're not hurt." Xia's worries dissipated with the Pope's reassurance. "Well then, we'll see each other at the national festival." "We won't see each other until then?" Xia hesitated to speak. "All right, there's a lot to do. I'll go now." The Pope disappeared into the moonlight with a swish. The next day when the Pope left, Xia didn't come out to see him off. She refused her brother's suggestion to have breakfast with the Pope. She seemed a bit busy and troubled. Hearing from her brother that Xia wouldn't come out, the Pope left with a smile. But he also realized Xia's unusual behavior. Just then, the maid brought a gift that Xia had personally prepared for the Pope. A robe. "For the next time we meet." Xia silently watched from upstairs as the Pope's carriage slowly departed. Her heart was filled with mixed emotions. Was it reluctance or... At this moment, the maid reported, "We've got the latest news about Duke Eden's only daughter. The girl's father and her former fiancé had jointly hired assassins to eliminate her, just to protect the family's reputation." After receiving the news, Xia told her brother she wanted to save her. Sylvia, in her memory, was that delicate and mysterious, introverted girl who seemed to easily read people's hearts. However, after the broken engagement, she was heartbroken and chose to live a secluded life. Only recently did she start to step out of her home again. "Do you sympathize with her?" her brother asked. Xia said she didn't know. Maybe she could restore her previous reputation. And if they joined forces, it would further solidify her position. Meanwhile, Xia's charitable acts of helping civilians sparked discussions among some noble ladies in society. Xia's maid is really amazing. In contrast, what are the ladies in our domain doing? They sneered at Sylvia, considering her just a woman abandoned by her fiancé. Little did they know Sylvia overheard their gossip. "What are you gossiping about?" Xia suddenly appeared. She finally found Sylvia, who was cornered by the two women. She had no time to entangle with those two women. She just whispered something in their ears and went after Sylvia. Those two gossips nearly fainted. "She is Lady Xia." When Xia caught up with Sylvia, she was being surrounded by 4 thugs. The girl was terrified and panicked. "Girl, you're gonna die anyway. Why not let us have some fun?" "Fine, then let's die together." The girl suddenly pulled out the brooch for her chest. Just then, the female guard Xia called appeared in time. They started fighting with the thugs. "Get up, the ground is cold." Xia gently extended her hand. The girl softly asked who Xia was. Before she could answer, the assassins pounced again. They were eventually kicked away by the maid. "Thank you for saving me. I'll repay you someday. I'll tell my father not to come home when I return." Xia held her arm. "Do you know who ordered the assassins? You might think it was that heartless man, but there's actually another person. You should recognize this handwriting in the letter." The girl couldn't believe it was her father. Her father wanted to kill her. Why? She collapsed to the ground in great pain. "Thank you for telling me. Do you have anywhere to go?" "Not yet." "Then how about staying with me?" Morning. Sylvia woke up in Xia's soft bed. She was full of gratitude towards Xia, but at the same time, she felt lost and helpless. For Sylvia, all of this felt like a dream, but she knew that facing the future, she had to make a choice. Just then, a man with 8-pack abs unexpectedly appeared in front of her. "Ah!" They both screamed at the same time. Now it's time to reveal the truth. Deliver this letter to Xia's maid. Yes, Your Holiness. Everyone in the meeting room is waiting for you. All right, time to deal with those stubborn old men. Her brother rushed to Xia in surprise. Yes, I brought Sylvia back. She will stay with us temporarily. At breakfast, her brother awkwardly asked Sylvia if the food was to her liking. After all, he didn't know how to interact with a young girl. The girl shyly looked at the siblings, expressing that she would repay their kindness. Xia encouraged her to eat more. The three enjoyed breakfast in a pleasant atmosphere. Sylvia found the long-missed food especially delicious. In the afternoon, Xia invited Sylvia into the kitchen to make bread together for poor villagers. Isn't it meaningful to help people with your own hands? Sylvia worried she couldn't do it well, but with Xia's final encouragement, she enjoyed it very much. They distributed the bread to villagers. Seeing the pure smiles of grateful children, Sylvia felt an unprecedented satisfaction. Then Xia took her shopping. She chose many clothes for her and told her that she was actually very beautiful. After a fulfilling day, watching the sunset glow in the carriage, Xia softly asked about Sylvia's mood. When you're not feeling well mentally, it's good to get your body moving first. She understood Sylvia's pain from the broken engagement. The girl questioned why Xia was helping her so much, wondering if she wanted to use her. Xia was honest. She hoped to team up with her to take revenge on the royal family, while also wanting to see Sylvia regain her radiance. The girl said she wasn't like Xia, who understood everything. She didn't even know how to survive. Xia told her that life isn't just about love and those men not worth lingering over. If you don't know anything, then go learn to create a reason for your own survival. A glimmer of hope finally shone in Sylvia's eyes. Then I'll start by gaining some weight. The maid called out, "My lady, a letter from His Holiness has arrived. I miss you. What about you? Since you didn't come to see me off last time, I knew you still felt I wasn't honest enough. Now I apologize to you. I hope it's not too late." Xia's heart warmed. She asked the head maid, "I said before to throw away the chessboard I used with guests. You didn't throw it away, did you?" Meanwhile, as soon as the Pope announced he would make public the former Pope's will, he immediately faced strong opposition from the elders. The little boy felt insecure because his hair color was different from others. The pink-haired girl gently held the silver-haired boy's hand. That was the meaning of choice. Xingxia hasn't married Xia's maid yet. Xia's maid doesn't know the truth either. The emperor even kills people in the commoner streets. Now, if we make the will public, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Pope stated, "It's the royal family who tampered with and misused the divine oracle. The royal family has been oppressing the temple all along. So it's time to risk everything and escape from the royal family's control." Both Xia and himself sincerely hoped for peace in the empire. An attendant rushed in to report that the rest of the will was missing. At this moment, the former Pope's will was in the crown prince's grasp. Looking at the unexpected gain from the temple fire, he was shocked, covering one of his teeth. He roared, "This will never mention your name. What's going on?" At that time, I was taking care of my sick brother. A group of people broke into my home. They brought me before the Pope. Nivea began speaking slowly, with tears in her eyes. They said my brother's strange illness could only be cured by divine power, but I had to do something for them. The crown prince was furious. He had been tricked by the temple scheme. He crushed the cup in his hand, blood flowing nonstop. The crown prince asked him to explain why he had pink hair. Nivea said her grandmother came from a distant foreign ancestor, and her hair might have inherited the foreign bloodline. How can a foreign bloodline impersonate the divine realm? The crown prince grabbed her pink hair. "Right now, I just want to kill you immediately. I'll kill your brother first." Nivea knelt and begged for mercy. "No, Your Highness. I'll do anything you say. Please spare my brother." The crown prince wavered between anger and sympathy. Finally, he ordered Nivea to go home and be ready at any time. Just then, an attendant rushed and panicked. "Your Highness, please come quickly. It seems the Empress won't make it through the night." Late at night, Xiao was preparing for relief work, but she was awakened by a sudden knock on the door. It was Israel. He brought shocking news. The former Pope's will had disappeared. Xia questioned Nivea. The oracle about the new saint had already been made public. Why would someone still steal the will? The Pope explained, "Recently, I've been seen getting closer to Xia's family quite often. It's not surprising that some people are questioning the oracle. I want to tell you the contents of the will. The story begins from when we were children, that time we met. Ah, we've met before? The maid interrupted. Oh no, their conversation was interrupted by the maid. The empress has passed away. Didn't you go to the funeral with Xia? Sylvia, taking a walk, happened to meet Xia's brother, who was resting with his eyes closed. Someone needs to stay at home, so only Xia went. He patted the spot next to him, inviting her to chat. The brother asked Sylvia how she was getting along with Xia and if she was comfortable living here. Sylvia said she was living well. She felt Xia was like water. Water cannot be cut. I admire Xia's resilience and independence. Is that so? It might look that way to others, but in my eyes, I only see her fragility. A complex emotion flashed in the brother's eyes. He slowly spoke. She always hides her emotions. I think it would be better if she cried it out. Meanwhile, Xia's heart was being shattered. She couldn't believe the Pope had deceived her. Facing Xia's questioning, the Pope's eyes darted around, not saying a word. Xia turned and ran away. The crown prince roared at the Pope. How could you not distinguish? You hypocrite, pretending it's for the empire, for Xia, but you're just exploiting others' goodwill. Your heart is filthy. This is your true nature. He firmly stated his position to the Pope. Xia might be confused now, but I will definitely win this, because there was never a place for you from the start. The Pope's face was grave. He tried to argue, but the crown prince wouldn't budge. Xia has been striving to become the crown princess since childhood. How could she abandon everything to go to you? In the future, I will be the emperor of the empire, and she will be the empress. You're just the last pope of a crumbling temple. The Pope openly jokes about the people. The temple's credibility will also be in jeopardy. I'm waiting for the day the temple collapses. Goodbye. The crown prince left in a huff. The Pope, having regained his composure, caught up with Xia. His voice carried a hint of pleading. I'm sorry, let me explain. Xia's answer was cold and resolute. No need. You and I were just in a contractual relationship. Isn't that right? Xia's fist clenched, trembling secretly. Mutual benefit. There was no other trust besides that. True feelings never existed. So there's no need to apologize. Isn't that right, brother? I'm not worthy to be the Duke's daughter. Xia nestled in her brother's arms. Tears blurred her eyes. I once swore never to fall in love again, but now I feel so heartbroken. Just now, the Pope kept trying to make her stay. He wanted to explain. They had so many beautiful memories together, but she felt that the Pope hadn't been honest with her on many occasions. She didn't want to hear anymore. Perhaps not knowing the truth would be better. The Pope asked if she was going back to the crown prince. Xia said, if it weren't for your schemes, I would have been the crown princess long ago. The Pope's eyes showed shock, but Xia left resolutely. Late at night, the Pope began to recall his childhood encounter with Xia. That silver-haired little boy, born with holy power, was abandoned at the temple door and adopted by the Pope. However, there were many children with similar fates in the temple. They envied Asliel's extraordinary holy power, and the Pope's special affection for him, often bullying him. One day, the Pope brought a group of people to the palace. Asliel was among them. They were told to wait in the park. The other children took the opportunity to beat him under a tree. At that moment, a girl stopped those bullies. Asliel was deeply attracted to her. He knew only one person had pink hair, and that was the saint. In fact, he had the fortune to see her when the saint was 1 year old. But now she had changed a lot. Little Xia drove away the children who were bullying Asliel and asked him why he always covered himself with a cloak. Asliel said it was because of his silver hair. Xia gently told him that hair color was a gift, encouraging him not to feel inferior. He took her hand, smiling brightly, inviting her to have afternoon tea together. The little boy was stunned for a moment. If she wasn't the saint of the palace, could I marry her if I become the Pope? He tentatively asked if Xia had any thoughts of abandoning her responsibilities. After all, she left her family at a young age, learning various things in the palace, living only to become the crown princess. Xia said she certainly had times when it was hard and scary, but she wasn't the kind of person who lacked a sense of responsibility. Asliel asked, what if there was another way to not become the crown princess, but to live as the saint of the empire? I think it's pretty good now. Xia's face blushed slightly. Xia, I heard you were here, so I came to see you. Your Highness. Xia ran happily towards him. Looking at Xia like this, Asliel understood. It was for this man, the crown prince. To be able to touch you, I must reach the pinnacle of power. This was Asliel's first and only time questioning the meaning given to his life. As Asliel ate dinner, his mind was filled with thoughts of Xia. The crown prince's appearance made her leave without even looking at him again. When would she smile at him like that? Hey, what's wrong with you? The children nearby were curious. They had never seen him with such an expression. Aslil grabbed his hair, telling himself to stop thinking about it. Just then, an attendant reported that His Majesty the Emperor ordered the Pope to bring the children who entered the palace today to see him immediately. The Pope felt uneasy. The Emperor's authority was unshakable. He'd better go quickly to see what was happening. Upon seeing the Pope and his group, the Emperor began scolding harshly. Who was the one who told the future crown princess to abandon her responsibilities? He immediately demanded an explanation, accusing the Pope of intentionally trying to take away the saint. The Pope stated that he knew nothing of such an incident. Aslil and the group began to sweat nervously. He had caused such a big problem. Should he step forward? Seeing no one come forward to confess, the Emperor ordered Xia and the Crown Prince to be summoned for questioning on the spot. The Crown Prince stated that he did see Xia with a child from the temple, but was too far away to remember the other's appearance. Xia keenly judged that it was the two maids from earlier who had gossiped. Xia asked the Emperor what he would do if that child was found. The Emperor declared on the spot that he would tear the child's mouth apart. Terrified, Aslil didn't have the courage to step forward. The kind-hearted Xia glanced at Aslil, then said seriously that she did chat with a child from the temple. It's true, but she never said anything about abandoning her responsibilities as the future crown princess. The real culprits were the two maids who fabricated lies. Aslil was shocked. This girl had actually lied for him, although the Emperor had some doubts. In the end, Xia stood firm. The two maids were executed, and it was decided that during the period of changing Xia's maids, she was not to leave the palace temporarily. Her recent vacation was to be considered as if it never happened. A look of disappointment appeared on Xia's face. The Crown Prince wanted to plead, but the Emperor immediately stopped him. You have no say in this. Just as Aslil was about to speak, Xia quickly expressed that she would obey. Walking out of the hall, the Crown Prince assured Xia that he would choose new maids as soon as possible. Xia smiled brightly and said it was okay. We'll enjoy the vacation next year. Aslil decided to personally apologize to Xia. His cowardice had cost her the little freedom she had. Finally, he found Xia in the courtyard late at night. She was quietly wiping away tears. Since the boy discovered the girl's tenderness beneath her strong exterior, her vulnerability, he decided to stand at the pinnacle of power to protect her. To achieve this goal, he studied hard. He helped others, even to the point of getting nosebleeds from exhaustion. Eventually, he became the Pope. It wasn't until he found another girl with pink hair that he began his plan. But before he could personally confess to her, things had come to this point. Meanwhile, Xia had been lying in bed for 3 days without eating or drinking. Her friend Sylvia was extremely worried, but didn't know how to comfort her. Closing the door, Sylvia encountered Xia's brother. Sylvia asked if they needed to bring more food for Xia. The brother appreciated her concern and said he would go comfort his sister. He quietly walked to the bedside. He softly said to Xia, Xia, I know everything. I wish I could destroy the Pope. Don't blame yourself. Your heart can't be fully controlled. Whether you're the crown princess or the oracle saint, you'll always be the duke's daughter. Stop blaming yourself. If you want to cry, just cry. From now on, only do what you want to do. Xia finally sat up. She slightly opened her mouth. It was unclear what she was murmuring. The next day at breakfast, Xia still didn't appear. Her brother and Sylvia felt disappointed. As the brother was taking care of Sylvia's breakfast, they suddenly heard that familiar, clear, and strong voice. Prepare a portion for me, too. Xia had pulled herself together. The brother immediately instructed the kitchen to prepare Xia's favorite food. He also mentioned that he had prepared a special gift for her. Lady Maid, long time no see. A familiar voice rang out. From now on, I'll be by your side to protect you. It was Asha. Xia's mood visibly improved. With her around, she felt at ease. Because Nivea's false saint identity had been exposed, Asha no longer needed to monitor Nivea. She was summoned here by the brother. After breakfast, Xia decided to go for a walk. Asha accompanied her. They came to a lush green lawn. The weather was pleasant. Xia's mood gradually improved. I have something to say. Suddenly, that longed-for voice came. That scent was Aslil. Xia's guess was correct. It was the Emperor who killed the Empress. But why? Just as Aslil was about to say something to Xia, Asha suddenly appeared, standing in front of Xia. Xia instructed Asha to get in the carriage first, then turned to speak to the Pope. From the beginning, we formed an alliance of interests with our own purposes. I used you too. After the crown prince broke off the engagement, I actually didn't know which path I should take next. What I can't give up is the effort I've made for the crown prince and the empire along the way. I foolishly believed that without me, the empire would head in an uncontrollable direction. So Pope, please use me to your heart's content while I still have value. I will help you judge the royal family by your side. After it's over, I promise to withdraw from your world. The people of the temple know about our marriage plans. Can they disappear? Xia asked. The Pope answered, yes, as long as we judge the royal family. Let the people know about the royal family's evil deeds. The temple will regain the people's trust. At that time, the temple will no longer need a saint to strengthen cohesion. Our agreement ends here. From now on, you can live the life you want. Xia felt a bit disappointed inside, but still replied, all right, I understand your thoughts. The national day is coming soon. Let's meet again at that time. Okay, call me Huang Ying then. With half a month left until National Day, Xia decided to overthrow the royal family. First, she needed to investigate the cause of the empress's death. The next day, Xia and Asha disguised themselves. They came to a hidden shop. On the surface, it was a weapon shop, but in reality, it was a place that sold various poisons. Xia pretended to negotiate with the shopkeeper about buying 50 long swords and took out a bag of gold. The shopkeeper was overjoyed, saying that for such a big order, he needed to go to the factory to arrange it immediately, so he temporarily left the shop. Taking this opportunity, Xia carefully searched the corners of the shop. Finally, she found a ledger that clearly recorded the names of poison buyers. A familiar yet terrifying name caught her eye. Don Pavel. Isn't this Pavlo's alias? He bought a slow-acting poison. This guy is the emperor's assistant. It really was the emperor who killed the empress. Just then a tall person walked in. It was actually him. Xia looked at him in shock, momentarily unable to move. Your Majesty, Xia's maid has traced the source of our slow-acting poison purchase. What? The emperor crushed the cup in his hand in a fit of rage. If that's really the case. Meanwhile, the attendant sent by the Pope to protect Xia also returned. He reported that Xia went to the Weapons Merchant Guild and told the Pope. He discovered an unusual customer who met with Xia. That person didn't buy any weapons, but went straight to the palace after Xia left the shop. The palace. The Pope pondered thoughtfully. Back home, Xia was puzzled. The emperor already had absolute power. Why did he need to murder the empress? If such a thing happens again, who would be the next target? She was determined to prevent another tragedy from occurring. He had stolen back the ledger of poison purchases from the shop. He now had some evidence. At this moment, the maid came in and handed Xia a letter from the palace. It was from Nivea. She had sent over the ring she had previously boasted about. She also said she had important information about the temple to tell Xia. Xia asked Asha about the last time she saw Nivea. Asha said she only remembered that the crown prince didn't allow Nivea to step out of the palace. Xia immediately called for servants to prepare a carriage, deciding to go to the palace herself. Pavlo came out from the emperor's chambers and ran into the crown prince. The crown prince was puzzled as to why his father had summoned him so early. The emperor had heard about the crown prince sending Ivia back to the count's family. The crown prince explained that since she wasn't the real saint, there was no point in keeping her in the palace. The emperor coldly said that Ivia would soon be executed for the crime of plotting against Xia's maid. He asked if that was all right. The crown prince was shocked and asked why they needed to kill Xia. The emperor sneered, saying that in the past, to get the Holy Mother sooner, to win the temple's support, he had put in so much effort. So now it didn't matter whether Xia was the real saint or not. As long as they found a pink-haired woman and called her the saint, it would be fine. The dignity of royal power couldn't allow the temple to interfere. So whether it was Xia or Nivea, he wanted to kill them all. An attendant burst in with a report. On the way to the palace, a carriage had exploded. The emperor showed a triumphant smile. Xia had indeed fallen for the trap. I won't let anything happen to you. In the intense flames, the Pope held Xia tightly. How did he appear? The story needs to be told from the beginning. Xia had told her brother that she was going to the palace. But on the way, the carriage was first tripped by stones, then attacked by men in black. Xia had anticipated all this. The emperor indeed wanted to kill her. She decided to use herself as bait to capture Pavlo alive. Xia and her brother had planned ahead. Now in this critical moment, her brother led a group and arrived just in time. Together with Asha, they successfully captured Pavlo and his group. However, to Xia's surprise, Pavlo's lips curled into a strange smile. Then he threw something at Xia. Boom! A series of explosions engulfed everyone. What was that? The consecutive explosions her brother and Asha called out Xia's name, but couldn't see her. Suddenly, a beam of blue-white light descended into the sea of fire. Xia opened her eyes. It was Israel, and at this moment, the crown prince also arrived. But he was still a step too late. I found out that the emperor's men might harm you. The pope's face was covered in large beads of sweat. Although he possessed powerful holy force, facing such intense flames, his back was still burned. He told Xia to hold him tight, then rose into the air, carrying her out of the sea of fire. Afterwards, they both lost consciousness. They fainted on the ground, until Xia suddenly opened her eyes. Her brother sighed in relief. She had finally woken up, but Xia's heart was entirely focused on the Pope. She eagerly asked her brother about Israel's condition. Her brother told her the Pope was still unconscious, with severe burns. Xia, disregarding her own condition, rushed to the Pope's bedside. She recalled the days spent with the Pope. That time she asked him why he chose to ally with her. He had revealed that he had seen her as a child. Because of her, he had rekindled hope for life. He hadn't deceived her. He just hadn't had time to explain. She had truly misunderstood him. He was sincere. Xia prayed for the Pope to wake up soon. Finally, the Pope opened his eyes. Seeing Xia in tears, he struggled to sit up and embraced her. The two held each other tightly and kissed. The high and mighty Pope, disregarding his own safety, was burned by the raging fire, all to save the woman he had cherished since childhood. The two, revealing their true feelings in adversity, kissed instinctively. The misunderstanding was finally resolved. However, as soon as he woke up, he ran out of the room and disappeared for a whole night, making the family worry. By breakfast time the next day, Brother Sylvia and Asha finally found Xia. They glared at the Pope, suspecting he was the one who had lured Xia away. The Pope coughed awkwardly and invited the brother and others to have breakfast together. Xia tried to smooth things over, saying she was fine now. The brother asked Xia how she slept last night. The Pope said the temple people had taken good care of Xia. But the brother retorted with a frown, "I wasn't asking you." The Pope laughed heartily. Xia looked at Sylvia and Asha. Their expressions were equally hostile towards the Pope. "Don't think I'll forgive you just because you saved her. It was your previous actions that put Xia in such danger." Brother Xia couldn't help but speak up. "This is the temple. Those words are blasphemy against the gods." The Pope smiled and said it was fine. Xia said she would find a chance to explain to the young duke again. At this moment, an attendant ran in to report to the brother. At the palace, the crown prince was pounding on the table, regretting that he once again failed to protect Xia. He wondered if Xia would return to him if he became emperor. He decided not to hold back anymore. He got up and ran towards the Great Hall. "Your Majesty," the crown prince called out, pushing open the doors of the Great Hall. He saw a noble lady with golden hair inside. It was Xia's mother, the Duchess of Pheasantile. The woman turned to the crown prince and said it had been a long time. The emperor on the throne, however, had a hint of timidity in his expression. The woman said she had come to the capital early for the National Day celebrations. But the emperor questioned why she had brought knights from the neighboring country. The woman stated that she heard the imperial army couldn't even protect her daughter. So naturally, she had to take matters into her own hands. The emperor said the attack on Xia was still under investigation. The duchess bluntly said she was certain it was the emperor. As for why she could mobilize forces from the neighboring country, it was because she was a princess of Valencia. Why was the usually strong emperor so powerless before the duchess? Because love is fear, and fear is love. When Xia learned that her mother was the most beloved princess of the old king of Valencia, she was shocked. But her brother told her another big secret. The emperor had loved their mother since childhood. But for some reason, their mother always despised the emperor. However, every time he faced her, the emperor's aura would unconsciously weaken. The National Day finally arrived. Everywhere was decorated festively. Delegations from various countries came to the empire's capital in grand attire. Faced with two dresses prepared for the National Day ball, Xia chose, without hesitation, the water blue long dress symbolizing the temple's color, simply because it particularly reminded her of Israel. In the morning at the Pheasantile Duke's mansion, they were also busy preparing for the National Day. Xia learned from her brother that he planned to enter alone using his knight status. Her brother keenly asked in return if she had arranged to enter with that Pope fellow. Seeing her brother's dark face, Xia didn't know how to answer. Sylvia suggested they enter together, as there was no law stating that one must enter with a partner of the opposite sex. And given the Pope's special status, appearing suddenly with a female companion would also cause gossip. Thinking of this, Xia happily agreed with Sylvia, looking forward to the evening. As the music started, everyone's attention was drawn to Xia and Sylvia as they were introduced by the attendants. They couldn't believe that the rumored dead palace maid Eden was appearing here with palace maid Xia. They both looked so radiant, and their dresses were so beautiful that people couldn't help but stare. Xia looked around, wondering why her father and mother hadn't arrived yet. "Your dress is beautiful." The crown prince appeared before Xia. Tonight he had also entered alone. He softly invited her for the first dance, but Xia's eyes lowered, and she still refused him. The crown prince, unwilling to give up, pulled her to the balcony, saying he had something to tell her. His voice mixed with a hint of anxiety and nervousness. He concernedly asked about Xia's health and confirmed if the rumor about her marrying the Pope was true. Xia nodded slightly, her gaze calm and determined. Seeing this, the crown prince urgently stated that if she could forgive the Pope, she could also forgive him. "I apologize for what happened before. I was truly wrong." His eyes were full of regret and hope. However, Xia's voice was like a cold blade cutting through the crown prince's heart. "You're just my former fiancé. You once tried to kill me. That wasn't my intention. It was His Majesty the Emperor." The crown prince tried to explain, his voice pleading. Xia suddenly interrupted him, her eyes full of anger and disappointment. "Stop using His Majesty as an excuse. And do you know what His Majesty did to the Empress?" Xia was about to say more, but stopped herself. In the end, she just softly said, "I'm going back now." The crown prince stood there, his eyes full of despair and pain. In his heart, he silently wondered, is it really impossible to go back? The crown prince, who had just passed by Xia, suddenly died mysteriously. Not long ago, the 31st Pope of the Empire personally attended the National Day Ball. It was his first public appearance before the subjects. The noble ladies, seeing such a handsome face, couldn't help but want to talk to him. But the Pope slowly walked to Xia, naturally taking her hand. They had agreed to reserve the first dance for each other. Everyone was surprised. Palace maid Xia's dance partner was actually the Pope himself. Asriel noticed that Xia's face was a bit pale. He asked her with concern. Xia didn't reveal that she was feeling down from her conversation with the crown prince. She just asked in return if he hadn't rested enough last night. The 31st Pope explained that it was his first public appearance, so he inevitably had to greet and interact with various parties. Xia humbly said not to worry about her, and let the Pope be busy with his own affairs. Just then, Sylvia came over. She informed them that the noble ladies wished to speak with Xia. They were full of curiosity about her relationship with the Pope and asked Xia directly whether the rumor about her impending marriage to the Pope was true. Xia was at a loss, surrounded by these gossip-hungry women. She hesitated, unsure how to answer. Fortunately, her brother entered at that moment. The young ladies were immediately attracted by her brother's charm. They eagerly asked Xia what kind of girls her brother liked. Xia answered with a smile. Her brother likes independent and strong-willed women, like their mother. Oh my, isn't the Duchess the typical example of a decisive and strong woman? Their faces showed expressions of fear. Meanwhile, Sylvia quietly thought to herself, it seems I don't have much chance. The Duke and Duchess of Pheasantile finally attended the National Day celebration again. This was their important participation after several years. Xia ran over and embraced her mother. "Child, you look more and more beautiful," her mother said softly. Xia excitedly greeted her parents. "Thanks to you, I'm doing well, father," her father smiled. "Mother, it's been a long time." Her brother also came over. Just as Xia was enjoying the long-awaited family reunion, palace guards suddenly burst in, bringing shocking news. A charred body, wearing the crown prince's clothes, was found in the courtyard. Was it really Xia's mother who killed the crown prince? The emperor ordered that until the investigation revealed who was related to the crown prince's death, no one was allowed to leave the palace. Xia was anxious and questioned whether the charred body was really the crown prince. but her mother seemed unusually calm. This made Xia confused about her mother's attitude. Her mother only asked if she planned to put the emperor on trial. Xia was surprised that her mother had guessed her thoughts. Her mother stated that Xia had been working hard to raise the family's prestige, even arranging a marriage with the Pope. These actions all indicated her intention to confront the royal family. But this alone wasn't enough to put the emperor on trial. So her mother proposed a solution. Just then, a guard suddenly ran in, informing the Duchess that the emperor had decided to imprison her for detailed investigation. They claimed that in the Crown Prince's study, they found letters arranging a meeting between the two, and around the body, they discovered a matchbox with the Duke's family's special mark. The Duchess smiled calmly, offered no defense, and willingly agreed to be taken away. However, Xia panicked, unable to accept her mother's suffering. But her mother tightly grasped her hand, stopping her with a look. "Child, I trust you'll understand my meaning." The next day, newspapers published news about the Duchess's alleged involvement in the Crown Prince's murder. The empire was shaken, and the public couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, Xia planned to publicly try the royal family, even obtaining permission from the temple. The emperor felt smug about this, believing he had easily framed the Duchess and suppressed the Duke's power. Whether he actually killed the Crown Prince was now irrelevant. There were plenty of princes. What mattered was maintaining absolute royal power. He didn't even care about being tried. He had ample reasons and evidence for defense. But he overlooked a key figure, Pavolosi. After the failed assassination attempt on Xia, Pavolosi had mysteriously disappeared. The emperor looked troubled. "This guy knows I killed the empress. He can't be left alive." He ordered Pavolosi to be found quickly. Little did he know, Pavolosi had already fallen into Xia and her brother's hands, killing his wife and now his son. Has the emperor gone so mad? Today was the day Xia's mother faced public trial for allegedly murdering the Crown Prince. The public was puzzled why Xia hadn't produced a miracle. Suddenly, the doors creaked open. Xia entered with Pavolosi. She solemnly announced, "First, I must reveal the truth about the emperor murdering the empress." Pavolosi, who had feared the emperor would silence him, now revealed before the public that he had bought slow-acting poison on the emperor's orders and put it in the empress's cup. Although today's trial was supposed to focus on the Crown Prince's death, this unexpected testimony shifted the focus of the trial to the emperor. The emperor accused Xia of slander and urged the Pope to proceed with the case of the Duchess killing the Crown Prince. Just then, the Crown Prince walked in through the door, shocking everyone. In fact, he hadn't been killed as rumored, but had planned this truth-revealing act with the Duchess. The Crown Prince revealed that he had confirmed the emperor indeed secretly bought poison through Pavolosi to poison the empress. And on the night of the National Day banquet, when the emperor learned the truth was exposed, he sent someone to attack the Crown Prince. Fortunately, the Duchess helped. The Crown Prince was able to escape danger. So it was the emperor who tried to kill him, not the Duchess. Faced with all the evidence, the emperor was speechless, only able to make incoherent excuses. Finally, the Pope ordered the immediate release of Xia's mother and the imprisonment of the emperor. The imprisoned emperor was furious, roaring madly. At this moment, the Crown Prince stepped forward. He coldly said, "I'm now going to inherit this throne, so all I can do for you is to set you free." The imprisoned emperor mysteriously disappeared. When Asha came to report the news, Xia and 4 others immediately took action, starting to track. Surprisingly, it was the Crown Prince who helped the emperor escape. The Crown Prince took the emperor to the royal villa in the east. Asha tracked down their whereabouts. In the villa, the Crown Prince was at ease, pouring a glass of red wine for the emperor. The emperor asked grimly, "What do you plan to do next?" The Crown Prince smiled coldly. "First, answer me a question. Why did you kill my mother?" The emperor scoffed. "I'm the emperor. I can kill whoever I want." A cold light flashed in the Crown Prince's eyes. "You took away the 2 most important people in my life." The emperor said contemptuously, "I can find you a new partner, even a new mother, as long as you obey." He raised his glass. "Come on, let's drink." The Crown Prince watched the emperor drink the wine, his heart filled with mixed emotions. Suddenly, the emperor coughed up blood. He glared angrily. "You actually poisoned me. You think this will get you the throne?" The Crown Prince calmly replied, I no longer wish to be your puppet." The emperor died with his eyes open, falling into a pool of blood. At this moment, Xia and her group broke through the guards and entered the villa. The scene before them left them stunned. The emperor was dead, and the crown prince calmly admitted to patricide. Such a heartless father, I could no longer tolerate. The pope also arrived. He had been planning how to judge the emperor, but now all plans turned to nothing. He stepped forward, gently closing the emperor's eyes. He prayed softly, "Rest in peace." The crown prince, tears streaming down his face, expressed willingness to accept judgment. The duchess comforted him. "We will help you." Xia wanted to say something, but swallowed her words. The next day, the pope announced to the public that the emperor died in an arrest accident. Although the news shocked the public, the situation didn't spiral out of control under the pope's handling. However, would the crown prince really smoothly inherit the throne? Not necessarily. The secret of the crown prince's patricide was still in Xia's family's hands. They said they could keep it secret, but on the condition that the crown prince must become a good emperor. At this moment, Xia handed over the records of the former emperor's crimes collected by her mother to the crown prince, indicating that he could use this evidence. The crown prince took it, but calmly said, "Thank you. But I plan to let Alfredo inherit the throne after the national day." The moonlight of the night fell like silver sand. Asriel's silhouette quietly appeared at Xia's window, like a dream. Inside the house, Xia was flipping through the letters Asriel had sent. Suddenly seeing his arrival, she was overjoyed. Asriel smiled, cleverly disguising Xia as a blonde lady. He changed his appearance to blue hair to avoid being recognized in the crowd. Hand in hand, they sweetly hid in the bustling streets. The crowd on the street was buzzing with discussion. Although Asriel and Xia were carefully disguised, the sharp-eyed public still recognized them. "Oh my, isn't that Xia the maid and His Holiness the Pope?" However, seeing that they clearly didn't want to reveal their identities, people tacitly pretended not to notice. Asriel, carefree, didn't notice the whispers around. Instead, he leisurely bought all the flowers from an old lady. When the two arrived at the empress's statue, Xia offered a bouquet of flowers and bowed deeply. This silent gesture moved the people around. However, the current situation at the temple made people feel complex and uneasy, because Asriel had once changed the divine oracle due to personal desire, causing chaos. Although he now redeclared Xia as the true saint, the public's trust had already been shaken. Starting from the second day of their date, the temple was frequently besieged. Xia came several times, but didn't see Asriel. On the other side, Nivea's brother was receiving his final treatment. Looking at the angry crowd outside through the window, he couldn't help but worry. Asriel decided to use his divine power to heal every patient, to redeem his mistakes. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Appearing at the door was the maid who had been loyal to Xia in the palace. It turned out that Xia had sent her to take care of Nivea and her brother. She even thoughtfully prepared supplies and money to help them settle back in their hometown. Nivea, touched, asked the Pope to convey her gratitude to Xia. Finally, the crowd gradually dispersed. Asriel had fallen asleep at his desk. Beside him were piles of documents. Xia walked in quietly. She gently said, "Go sleep on the bed." Asriel murmured in his sleep, "Can't sleep now." Xia smiled, leaning down to pat his shoulder. "Aren't you already asleep now? Get up, I have something to tell you." A woman actively proposes to the man she loves, but is rejected. When Xia, blushing, said to Pope Asriel, "Let's get married," the Pope opened his eyes wide in surprise. He thought he was dreaming, but Xia firmly told him this was real. She was sincere. Asriel pondered for a moment. He gently said, "Wait a moment. Can you come with me somewhere?" Then, he took Xia to a dreamlike place. The scene before them made him exclaim in awe. Although it was winter, it seemed like spring here, with flowers and grass everywhere. Xia eagerly asked what this place was. Asriel explained, "This is the mountain passed down by generations of popes. It's also my favorite place. I can never forget the scenery I saw when I first came here. At that time, I was determined to become the Pope and one day bring you here with me. Today, I've finally realized this wish." As soon as he finished speaking, Asriel knelt on one knee and took out a ring. He said emotionally, "Actually, I've been troubled all this time, worried you might reject me. Can you wait for me for 3 months?" Asriel continued gently but firmly, "I still have responsibilities to fulfill. I must first restore the temple's reputation. Only after that can I be at peace to be with you forever. All right, I'll wait for you." Xia nodded with tears in her eyes. This man was indeed very responsible. Asriel gently put the ring on her finger. In the days that followed, both were extremely busy. Unable to stay long due to estate matters, Xia's parents left the capital the next day, leaving her and her brother to handle the aftermath of the capital's National Day. Meanwhile, Asriel was healing the old, weak, sick, and disabled of the empire every day, dedicated to rebuilding the temple's life. The empire's second prince, Alfredo, successfully ascended to the throne. With his outstanding wisdom and war experience, he became a convincing emperor. While helping her brother handle affairs, Xia often inadvertently thought of Asriel. He always appeared like a ghost on the balcony. The two would drink tea and discuss official business. Whether together or apart, Xia felt at ease and content. Just like that, 3 months quickly passed. Finally, with the blessings of family, friends, and the temple, the two sweetly walked into the hall of marriage. They promised each other to love and respect one another. Thank you all for your support. The story of the price of breaking an engagement ends here. If there are any extras, I will continue to update. Please look forward to my next work. As the bride and groom concluded their first joyful dance, a solemn footstep was heard at the entrance of the great hall. The emperor walked in slowly, and the whole venue fell silent. People bowed and paid their respects to the emperor. Sister Alfredo noticed Xia's slightly flushed cheeks, smiling. He told her he had just managed to break away from his duties to attend his sister's wedding. I sincerely congratulate you both. Sister, may I have a dance with you? Xia nodded, and the two began to dance gracefully. The surrounding guests whispered, wasn't the relationship between the royal family and the temple strained? It seems that because of Palace made Xia's presence, everything has changed. On the other side, Asriel slightly pouted. He felt a twinge of jealousy in his heart and secretly vowed, tonight, I must properly punish this little wife who has caused such a stir. The wedding banquet ended, and night fell. Xia changed into soft pajamas, her cheeks bearing a faint blush. She gently pushed open the bedroom door. Asriel was already waiting for her. She walked forward. He swiftly picked her up and placed her on the soft bed. Xia noticed a bottle of wine by the bed. She asked curiously who sent it. Asriel smiled and said gently, this is a gift from father and mother, wishing us a happy night together. He leaned in slightly, moving closer to her, and whispered, tonight, why don't we share a drink first? Xia smelled the faint fragrance on him. Her cheeks grew even redder, not knowing where to look. He suddenly remembered something and stammered. Although clergy can marry, they haven't learned those things, right? As soon as she finished speaking, Asriel paused for a moment, then chuckled softly. He gently took the wine glass from her hand. His low voice carried a hint of challenge. You underestimate me. Before he finished speaking, he leaned down and held her tightly in his arms. His hot breath fell on her ear, making her heart race. On this night, intertwined with tenderness and intimacy, Xia couldn't help but feel this excitement growing in her heart. At that moment, she knew this marriage was not only arranged by fate, but also her willing destination. The newlyweds were late coming down for breakfast. Xia's parents and brother had already imagined countless scenarios in their minds. Indeed, that Pope who had done it 7 times in one night was now holding Xia and refusing to let go. The child who had just become a junior assistant stood outside the room, his face red with embarrassment. Knocking on the door to call them for breakfast? That would be asking for death. At the dining table, the topic inevitably turned to those assassins at the wedding. Gregorius calmly stated that all remaining accomplices had been sent to prison, but the late emperor's faction probably wouldn't quiet down so quickly. Mother firmly said, we must clean up these remnants thoroughly. Before she finished speaking, Xia and Asriel finally arrived late. As soon as Xia entered, she called Asriel the master of laziness, making the whole family burst into laughter. Mother lovingly told the two to quickly sit down and have breakfast. During the meal, Xia asked her brother, what are your plans for today? Want to go out together? Dias helplessly said that government affairs had piled up like a mountain, and he was really too busy. Hearing this, Xia's eyes twinkled, and she mysteriously brought up Sylvia's matter. She's been doing excellently lately and has been awarded a university scholarship. Brother, can you help go tell her? It turned out that Sylvia had quietly applied to university 2 months ago. Unexpectedly, Lias readily agreed. Asriel then leaned close to Xia's ear and whispered. Xia chuckled softly. That slow brother of mine needs me to give him a push. At the university's academic affairs office, Sylvia was looking at Lias, who had suddenly appeared with a puzzled face. Lord Duke, why are you here? Do you need something from me? Lias looked slightly awkward, but still smiled as he handed her the letter. Xia asked me to come congratulate you on getting the scholarship. Sylvia was stunned for a moment. I know about this. Xia, you should have known long ago. The atmosphere between them became subtle and awkward. The maids outside the academic affairs office had already been eavesdropping with great interest. To break the silence, Lias asked, what made you decide to return to university for further studies? A confident smile appeared on Sylvia's face. I used to always live for others. Now I want to live for myself like Xia, starting with studying. Her radiant spirit infected Lias, and a warmth surged in his heart. Just as the maids were secretly scoring their conversation, Sylvia suddenly mentioned, Lord Duke, you should come less often in the future. It might cause gossip and bring you inconvenience. But Lias smiled and said, I don't care about rumors. If my presence can be your support, why would I avoid it? Don't forget, you're like a sister to me. These words made Sylvia pause slightly, her cheeks turning red. Does he like me? Her heart stirred. But at the last ball, Xia described that her brother's type wasn't someone like her. Like this, Sylvia couldn't help but shed tears and spoke incoherently. I seem a bit confused. I'll go first. Sylvia stood up. Seeing this, Lias instinctively grabbed her hand. Did I do something wrong? To make you cry? Don't go. It's okay to stay confused. Since Xia and Asriel got married, although these 3 months weren't exactly smooth sailing, with everyone's efforts, the political situation had gradually stabilized. The remnants who once tried to overthrow the new regime were eliminated one by one, and life finally returned to normal. However, on this day, Xia's mother rushed all the way from the estate, heading straight to Xia's residence. It turned out that Mother had a strange dream last night. In the dream, she and Xia were lying side by side on the grass, gazing at the starry night sky. Suddenly, a bright shooting star streaked across the sky. After waking up, Mother couldn't calm her heart, so she rushed over overnight. Seeing her mother arrive, all sweaty, Xia was startled. She hurriedly asked what happened, but Mother just smiled and waved her hand. She said she just suddenly missed her daughter very much and wanted to come see her. But her gaze inadvertently fell on Xia's face, with a hint of scrutiny. In fact, Xia's condition had been a bit strange these past few days. She always had poor appetite and felt weak all over, but she didn't think much of it. Until that night, just as she was about to go to bed with Asriel, she suddenly felt dizzy and then fainted on the bed. The panicked Asriel immediately called for a doctor. After examination, the doctor brought joyful news. Xia was pregnant. After hearing this, Mother exclaimed, "My dream was a pregnancy dream." This good news spread quickly. Her brother also rushed over with Sylvia. The originally tense atmosphere became warm and joyful because of this news. Xia finally woke up. Upon learning of her pregnancy, she was overjoyed. She quickly pulled her brother over and asked, "You two finally got together?" Her brother scratched his head. He said with a bit of shyness, "It's because I'm such a straight guy. I really don't know how to pursue girls. I had to ask Asriel for a lot of advice. Fortunately, Sylvia didn't mind my clumsiness." Sylvia, standing nearby, gently pushed her brother upon hearing this, smiling but saying nothing. As they were chatting happily, Xia's parents also came in. The room was filled with laughter and a warm atmosphere. 2 years later, in that beautiful paradise where Asriel had once taken Xia, 2 lovely children were running and jumping around. They were calling Daddy and Mommy in their sweet voices. Asriel held one child in each hand, while Xia stood beside them, her face beaming with satisfaction. With this, the spin-off manga, The Price of Breaking Off an Engagement, came to a perfect end.